Hey everyone, Kevin here. There's been a lot of news lately about this Gen X retirement crisis and a lot of YouTube videos focusing on this topic. And it makes it seem like people are freaking out, and I think some people are. But I want to talk about this today. The main thing is, why is everyone freaking out? This average of $48,000 being saved for retirement, what does that number mean? It doesn't mean anything at all. What matters is your situation. Your situation is unique and specific, and it's not average. So just toss that out the window. Now, should people be freaking out? I don't think anyone should be freaking out, regardless of how much you've saved, and take a step back and start evaluating the current situation of their retirement planning. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. All right, the first thing that you need to think about is, when do you want to retire, to help bring everything into focus. And that's going to help drive some decisions and some specific paths that you need to follow based on the answers that you give. First thing that I want to look at here is, how much have you actually saved for retirement? What's the state of your 401k if you've got one? What's the state of your IRAs or other investments? Do you have a pension? So doing an honest analysis of, how much have I got in the bank that is hopefully growing and going to be there for when I retire, is step number one. Depending on your age and when you want to retire, the answer to the question about how much you have saved is going to lead down the path of, okay, do I need to boost my income? Do I need alternative sources of income? And that goes down a path of, potential part-time jobs, side hustles, online income. We're going to talk about those a bit more. The next thing that I think is important in this decision-making process is, how is your health? What kind of health do your parents enjoy, or did they have before they passed? What about your grandparents? What about your siblings? Is there a family history of cancer or kidney problems or heart disease? Any number of things that you must take into consideration as you're thinking about when you want to retire. Because if you have things like heart disease, cancer, etc., that you're going to be up against potentially, that may influence you to want to retire a little bit earlier. I know it does for me. Both of my parents died in their nearly mid 80s, and they both suffered from ailments, diseases that I am thinking that I might have to worry about when I get to be a bit older. So if you're up against this family history of health issues, you may need to be considering an earlier retirement age. And for me, I want to retire as early as I possibly can, but looking at that bigger picture of how much have I got saved for retirement is going to play into that decision. Put down in the comments if you're in a good position, or if you're worrying about retirement, about what you've got saved. The next thing that we want to talk about is debt. So if you've been in debt, if you are in debt, you know how crippling that is, not just financially, but to your psyche, your emotions, to your relationships. All aspects of your life really are impacted by being in debt. So one of the greatest things that we ever did was to work a budget, a written cash budget, and to get out of debt. We spent a lot of years in debt for the same reasons that many of you are in debt. And those are raising a family, not feeling like we made enough to cover expenses, also not managing our money very well. So if you're managing your money without a budget, I would suggest you're not really managing it. And it's kind of like driving with a blindfold on. You're going to end up in a bad place, probably with really terrible consequences. So if your financial life is being lived with a blindfold on, then it's not going to end in a good place in most cases. So I strongly recommend that you look at, number one, getting out of debt. Make that a priority. If you're not doing that now, please commit to yourself, to your family, that you're going to take the steps necessary to do that. For us, we followed many of the principles that Dave Ramsey teaches to get out of debt. And it was because of those principles and methods that we were able to get out of debt and now enjoy being debt-free. Except for our house. We still have a house mortgage that we have to pay off, so we don't have to worry about that. Student loans, car loans, home loans, personal loans. There are so many different forms of debt, but I can't tell you enough of the feeling of having a weight lifted when those payments are finally made, when there's no more monthly payments. So I strongly recommend that you take the steps to get out of debt now. The next thing I think that is critical is a budget. And I already mentioned being on a budget while getting out of debt, just living everyday life. I think that's super important. But yeah, just as important and more important as we are planning for retirement is to have a retirement budget. So, how can you plan effectively to retire and know what you need if you haven't made a budget for that? I've created a very simple retirement budget spreadsheet that I'm making available to everybody. It's free. So if you just throw budget down in the comments, I will send you the link so that you can download that spreadsheet. And this is going to help you when you're planning out that budget. In this budget spreadsheet, it's going to help you plot out not only what you're spending today as a baseline, it will let you plot out scenarios starting at the age of 62. That's the earliest that you can claim Social Security, all the way up to age 70. One of the critical inputs to making this budget work is knowing what your personal Social Security numbers are expected to be, meaning what are you going to get every month when you claim Social Security? The only way to know that is to have your own account at ssa.gov. And if you don't have one already, that's the next thing that you really need to do, is to set up your account at ssa.gov, and you will be able to see, based on what you have earned, you will be able to project what your Social Security payments will look like when you retire. I've got a video that walks you through the steps for setting up your ssa.gov account, and I'll throw that down in the description here. The last thing that I want to talk about is other income streams. So if you are in a situation where you're in a shortfall, meaning you're not going to have enough saved for retirement, it's time to look at other avenues for income. And like I said earlier, that could be just a part-time job. Maybe you just need a little bit more to supplement and to get you over the hump. Side hustles, DoorDash, various types of delivery services. Creating this YouTube channel is what I'm doing as the first step to building an online income ecosystem. Because I think if you're focusing just on one thing, or YouTube specifically, that while you may be able to make decent money over time as you build it up, depending on just one thing, the old adage of putting all your eggs in one basket, it's not very smart. So there are ways to build an ecosystem around YouTube, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in other videos. But digital products, affiliate marketing, things that don't require you to be monetized on YouTube. So if you were to lose your monetization, you would still be able to make money in other ways while still having your YouTube channel and still having a community that you've built. What I'll say about the YouTube thing is I'm in my nearly mid 50s now, and there is no question that it's never too late to start this. You don't have to be a young person to do this on YouTube. There are so many people that I've taken inspiration from, that I continue to watch, that are kind of mentoring me, even though they don't know that, on YouTube. And I just want to give a shout out to some of those people: Alexa Serenoya, Kevin Colby, Gary V, Rob the Maritimer. Those are just a few. There are a lot more, but those are the ones that have really kind of pushed me over the edge. With Silver and Solo, that's the last one that I'll mention. It's her videos actually that convinced me that I can do this myself, and I have something to say that's meaningful for somebody out there, and hopefully that's you. And remember, just throw the word budget down in the comments, and I will send you the link to the free retirement budget spreadsheet that will help get you on your way to planning for retirement. So thanks for watching. See you soon.